Mastermind regularly. One of my former and calligraphy students when I was in government at the senior centers, and since I retired, we still mastermind, and it's mobile and it's global. Shows up at wherever two or more are. You're right, it's a temple, it's a church, it's whatever name you call it that requires you to connect in consciousness and have agreement. The moment that there's disagreement, the mastermind ceases to exist. So the purpose of a mastermind group or consciousness is to have agreement in your profound aspirations of whatever you're creating or co-creating. Is proven over the 40 years of my existence coming out of New Thought to have a mastermind partner. The gender doesn't matter. The age doesn't matter. You can even have a mastermind with your conscious and subconscious self. That means your thinking and feeling actually aligns and agrees. So Barbara, I thank you for rearranging your schedule, as many of us did, to come. But I'm telling you, Barbara is a strong elder. And I say that in due respect, because I know for a fact he just celebrated his 70th birthday. Let's acknowledge this king. What day was it, Barbara?
January 18th.
Give thanks.
My daughter's birthday.
And I just want to say also, I also taught youth entrepreneurship. My goal is to work with the children and adults, and myself, I'm going over there to get product and bring back and sell all over the world. And so I wanted to put that in the mastermind consciousness. And I love to serve. SAS will tell you, I serve wherever is needed, whatever is needed by anything necessary.
It's true. And give thanks.
But we have to have fun doing it. Holla.
Yeah, it's true. One of the main things we'll say, we like to have fun and get things done. You feel me? If enthusiasm's missing, if the zeal is not there, if you're not enjoying what you're sowing, then something's a bit missing. I thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Dr. Rose.
Thank you.
Amani.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Greetings.
Like the brother here, my birth name is Alvin Ricardo Robinson. I was inspired to go to Ghana on my first trip by the movie Sankofa many years ago. When I saw that movie, I don't know, it just did something to me. I was like, I gotta go there.
Yes.
You know, I gotta go there. I couldn't stop till I got there. And that was my impetus for traveling to Ghana at first. And I took the name Amani Ngoli after I got there. And I realized I'd been a military person when I was a kid, because I wasn't prepared for college. My parents wanted me to go to college, but I didn't want to waste the money. So I went to the military for a while to grow up some. And while there in Ghana, in those dungeons, I had an experience that made me feel like what happened to our people was similar to like military training. It's like when I was in the Marine Corps, and the minute you hit the boot camp, it's like they strip you down from your identity as a person to whoever they want you to be. They just take your whole identity away from you, and then you just become a Marine from the ground up, built on your boot camp experience, okay? And when I was down in the in those dungeons, in the belly of those dungeons, I felt like, wow, this is exactly what happened to our people to a great degree on the continent. And I was remembering, I used to work at Auburn Avenue Research Library as well, and we had a researcher there by the name of Dr. Broadwater. He's from South Carolina. He was very deep into our culture. And he used to talk about how when our people were brought here from Africa, we were brought as proud Africans, but he used the N-word. He said, but America turned us into happy ends, you know. And it's like now, and I noticed among a lot of elders, one of the worst things you could tell them in their mind was they were African. I've heard so many say, I ain't no African, you know, just like in the movie, Sankofa, where the lady was saying, I ain't no African. I was like, you know, it's just that whole connection between how our minds were broken down and our spirits were broken down in the military. It seemed like it was the same process. So that was my first experience in Ghana, and why I decided I wanted to take an African name. It was a small thing, but it was just my way of reconnecting with
Huge.
with who I am as a person, and that wasn't Ghana. The other thing about Ghana, for me, it was several things. First time I went with Dr. Barbara Wilder out of New Jersey with a college professor. It was a class. I just did the class without having to do the course because I didn't want to go for credit. I wasn't taking anything. I just wanted the experience and the information. But it was I audited the class in order to go there. And we got a chance to see a whole lot of things. We went to people's houses, and one of the subdivisions there that was just very nice, you know, we went to. And we were sitting out in the yard, and I had this moment, like a deja vu experience, because I was like, wow, this just feels so familiar, you know? And it dawned on me, like the yard, the way it was set up, where I lived at and grew up, I grew up in South Florida, Miami-Dade, and our neighbors, they had a hibiscus hedge, you know, the red plants that have the, most people know what hibiscus are. But they used the hedges to divide our property lines. And this is the same thing that they had in the yard. And I started putting that together. I was like, wow, this is just like, I started feeling like I was sitting at home in South Florida, you know? And then they had this large tree that we have in South Florida. It has pods on it with seeds, and it has this orange foliage. And that's what they had in their yard. And we were sitting under that tree, and I was like, wow, I'm having a deja vu because this reminded me of my childhood at home. You know, I couldn't remember what the familiarity was, and then it just finally dawned on me. And the other experience, my first time there, was standing in I think it was One Africa in the backyard where you can look up and see the dungeon up on the hill. And it was just it was some kind of experience to think that, okay, now I'm looking on the other side of the Atlantic where this all started. You know, somebody in my bloodline stood on this side of the Atlantic before I ever, you know, came into being centuries later on the other side. And just to know I was standing over there looking at those waves going out, it was just something, you know, just to be able to look there on the other side of where it all began, you know. So, that was pretty much my first experience in Ghana. And my second experience, I went there for the anniversary after their independence from Great Britain and everything. And that was, by that time, I made a friend that I met here in Atlanta, and I was able to have a personal experience. I stayed at their house with their family and everything. So that was an even better experience because it wasn't like from a tourist perspective. It was like from a person-to-person connection. So those were my two major experiences in Ghana, and you know, I have to say it's part of me. I don't know if I ever go back to live, but it's part of me that felt quite at home there, and it's quite a possibility because one thing I left out, I told a friend about my experience. They were so moved. They're like, "Oh, I got to go see it for myself." And he went over there and he found his wife. They got 2 children now.
Wow.
And he goes back and forth over there.
I remember.
And he's bought property over there. So I'm like, you know, they're going to have dual citizenship. So I'm like, who knows? Maybe one day I'll be over there, a neighbor. Who knows?
No. But one thing for sure, you have been such a blessing to the Mastermind of Ghana, because we use this room because Amani, this is where he works at this library, this branch. And you provide a space for Africans here, and before, even at Auburn Avenue Research Library. I remember when he took that trip to Ghana, go back years and years. You see, we're family and we're evolving. I want to acknowledge this king man, this African man, because as you were sharing, I think we could get a sense of your heart and soul as you were remembering in the spirit of being at home in like Miami-Dade County. And it's not an uncommon thing. Let's acknowledge Brother one more time. Thank you so much. At any time, you can always share if you just want to give your name or how you got here, or if you had a Ghana thing, or anything you want to say, my brother. It's a pleasure meeting you.